Um, Hello, everybody. Just give me a few minutes while I try to make it public, and then I want to share it with many group as possibly I can. So just bear with me. We'll start the program as soon as my technical um, hiccups are done. Hopefully, then we will be in action. So let me see if I can share it with UK post, then share it with, share it in a group. Okay, post, and then I'm just share it again with another group, and then I'm all done, by the way. Just give me, so it is excellent. I think I have done. Again, I thought I'll keep talking in case people knows that I'm not there. Anyway, good evening, everyone. Right, today is the Thursday, 21st of May, 2020, and we are live. Right, before I go live, well, I'm already in live anyway. I have a disclaimer. If me or my guest say something which is irrelevant or has no foundation to it, or by mistake, advance apology. So no need to be nasty words, by the way. We are professionals, right? So advance apology for that. We are human beings. In life, there's no script. A lot of things will come out from my own mouth because we can get hyped up, low down. So hey, enjoy the show, because today I have a very special guest, right? His credential is huge, right? He can explain himself. I don't want to explain it. He will do it. And the subject today is advanced practice or advanced practitioner or extended scope practice. And one special hint, IOCP is going to hint something, because we are brave for the profession. We are the forefront organization for the profession, right? Now, let me introduce Abid. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mia.
If you could introduce yourself, and then we will kick off.
Yeah, good evening to all your viewers as well. My name's Abid Ali. I am currently acting as the Vice Chair of the Board of Executives Institute of Chiropodists and Podiatrists. I've done that role now for about 4 years, I think, is it, Somers, in that role?
Well, I dragged you in there, so
You dragged me in there, you did.
Yeah. So
Yep.
Caroline saying hi. Hi, Caroline.
Hello, Caroline. Very good friend.
And let's say hi first, Graham.
It's Graham Franklin.
Yeah. Yes.
Great guy.
Yeah. Okay. Keep
Okay.
on. We'll in between get people in message. So.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with the flow.
Yeah. Just I don't like a formal. I always believe, you know, that I don't like formal. It's informal. So let's start.
Okay. Yep. So before that, for the Institute, I was involved in the Board of Education. And I think I did that for 4 years as well. Obviously, that was a difficult time for the Institute when I came along.
Another friend of ours, Navwala.
I've been meaning to catch up with this guy for a while. So
hello, Nav. Sasrikal. and another one.
Oh, Fifi.
Yeah. Must be good. Thank you.
I see her a lot on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So before that, during that time, I've been working as initially they called it an extended scope practitioner. Now the buzzword or the buzz term is advanced practitioner, and we've been doing that role for.
Talukdar Dilon, thank you. Hi.
We've been doing that role for about 16 years, 17 years. I'll give you the short version. So I started my career. I can see all these popping up. Cool. Yeah. So I started my career my background is in sports, and from sports I had my own injuries and problems. I ended up getting interested in sports therapy, massage, and sports coaching. We did.
Aminur Rahman, hello, hi. A lot of my fan will now kick you in
Okay.
YouTube. I've got a couple of 100,000 followers. Hey,
Yeah.
pods, I am bigger than any pods down there, by the
You're almost
way.
a celebrity on YouTube. Yeah. So before that, yeah, as I was saying, involved in sports and things, and then from there, I got involved into therapies. I became a personal fitness trainer, qualified in various therapies, and I used those skills. So I came to university a little bit late. I came to university, started at about 22, so I'd had a few years of experience in therapies prior to that. I did all sorts of things, reflexology, and various types of other treatments.
You were an actor once upon a time, weren't you? Why didn't you tell me that?
Yeah, now you're talking years and years ago. I wasn't even going to bring that up, but yeah, I had a little stint acting as well, and maybe in future programs I'll show you a snippet or something.
Yeah, you
So
did,
yeah,
by
but
the way.
did I?
Yeah.
For the benefit of your viewers, then maybe I'll show you a few clips,
Okay.
blast from the past sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had a varied career, but it all kind of comes together throughout. So from that, I went to university, and I was hoping to be a physiotherapist at the time. So I'd done a lot of work for a couple of years to try to get into physiotherapy. Unfortunately, as you know, at the time, it's a very, very popular course, and the demand was very, very high. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to get in, although I had a few interviews. And then, long story short, I came across podiatry. Didn't really know much about it other than the chiropody element, which I'd learnt about from my reflexology experience. But when I looked into it further and realised, well, some of these guys are out there doing surgeries, some of these guys are doing this biomechanic stuff and all this sort of thing. And an interesting story I'll tell you. During my student years, before I came to podiatry, I had a lot of problems with knees through my sports, a lot of knee problems, and I'd been to various doctors and specialists. Had all kinds of diagnoses.
Another fan
Rheumatoid.
of mine, Aminul Haq Lulu, is a politician, by the way, in Bangladesh. So next time we go to
Fantastic.
Bangladesh, right, I expect them to pick up from the airport.
I look
Aminul
forward
Haq.
to meeting my
Yeah.
Bangladeshi brothers in the future. I hope we make that trip. So anyway, back to the story. So I've done quite a lot of sports, a lot of knee problems, been around the houses. Anyway, long story short, nobody seemed to be able to put their finger on why I was having these knee problems. I ended up having a lot of physiotherapy input, and at a hospital in Norfolk, where I lived for a little while,
Okay.
I ended up becoming a teaching patient in the physiotherapy department. So these guys all got together, probably 40 or 50 physios, and they were all looking me up and down and checking. On the day, they'd also invited a podiatrist in. Didn't have a
Okay.
clue what a podiatrist did at that time.
Okay.
This guy blew my mind. The way he was assessing me and talking about things in front of all these other clinicians blew my mind. At the end of it, he said to me, I think I can sort out your knee problems. I'm going to make you something to go in your shoes. You're going to come down to my clinic and I'll organize all this. I could not get my head around it or grasp the concept at all. I was like, hang on, I've got knee problems. What are you going to do putting things in my shoes? Anyway, long story short, he did it and resolved my problem overnight. From that point, I was sold. And although I'd gone down the physiotherapy route, podiatry was a little bit in the back of my mind, so it wasn't a completely unnatural move. So
Okay.
I came to Northampton University. This was, and anyway, graduated and qualified 2002, 2003. Some really clever podiatry teachers there. And from there, I went on to start my first job in Scholl. Remember Scholl?
Oh yes, yes.
They still have products around, but at the time they had clinics everywhere. I think they got bought up by Chiropody and closed some of them and kept some of them, or whatever happened. But at the time I started working for those guys. Had done about 2 years. We'd done a bit of biomechanics there and got involved. From there, I met some very influential people in my life. Greg Quinn. I don't know if you know. At the time, he worked for TaylorMade. He's now a consultant
He's pod
podiatric
surgeon, isn't
surgeon.
he?
I think he's around Manchester or somewhere like that. Then there was our friend Phil Wells.
Oh
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic guy he is.
Fabulous. Very, very clever guy.
He's probably not brave enough to come to my show though.
He's probably abroad somewhere. Last time I heard, he was doing some work in Israel or
Israel,
something.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, he's
I've
been
met him there.
headhunted many times. And then through meeting these guys, I ended up working a little bit with Phil. And then through him, I ended up meeting the guys at the Stafford University, Nachi Chocolingam and Dave Dunning and all these guys. So I had a lot of good influence. I was very, very lucky. Of course, in my university time, Ian Riley was there. You know him very well, I understand.
I don't know, but
Taught
I
me
don't know
taught me a
nobody
lot of
very well.
stuff. Yeah. And he's still around, so it's all good stuff. So anyway, leading up to where we are, I ended up from Shoal. I ended up getting a job at Coventry Hospital. Coventry is where I live now. I worked there for about a year and a half, and then all these musculoskeletal position came up at Warwick Hospital, which is only about 15 miles away from me. I applied for and luckily got that. So that started at a band 7 role. So I jumped from a band 5 to a band 7. But within a year, at the same time, I'd managed to get a job at Milton Keynes Hospital as well, and they had a similar service. So it's orthopedic triage. The idea is
wasn't it that MSK with Dr. Javed?
Yes. So that was part of this orthopedic triage musculoskeletal assessment unit. So it's the very, very early days of it. I mean, I've been doing that for about 15, 16 years. So it goes back a long time. I didn't work under podiatry in that. It was more under the physiotherapy banner. So I've worked very, very closely and for a long time with physiotherapists, with these orthopedic surgeons, some very clever guys in these departments. And luckily, I was working across 2 hospitals at the time. So a vast wealth of experience, really. I was lucky enough to lead the service, design the service, implement ideas, and help to save costs and reduce referrals into orthopedics. At the time, it was about this 18-week pathway to treatment, which is still kind of around today.
Can I just stop you a bit there?
Yeah.
Those who wanted to ask questions, I have made many links to different groups. If you ask on the group, I don't see it. Only way you can ask Abi the questions is on my Facebook profile, not on the group. Please remember that I won't be able to see your question if it's on the groups. I'm sharing it. Only way to ask the question is on my Facebook profile. Thank you. And ask question, please. If you don't ask questions, you don't get it. This man was very difficult for me to get, right? So there you go. You got it? Ask him. That's the only way to learn. Okay, Abid, go ahead.
All right.
One question, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You need your own hospital radio show. So no, that's for Okay, so
all right. Can't remember where I was now. So orthopedic triage, all this sort of stuff. Yep. Okay, so still to date doing this and moving more into theatre and do minor ops and procedures, and hopefully in future we'll be developing further. I did fancy podiatric surgery, as you know, but at the time it was difficult and very.
It's an open platform. Everybody knows College of Minimal Invasive Surgery, but that's a long story.
Well, there's another. I mean, we could talk on this show for hours and hours. All the detail. If we put it all in, we'd have a whole day program.
One day, Abid, this is Mr. Mia. I will reveal one day. You watch that space. I will hold them to ransom. I will hold them. You watch that.
Well, at the time, it wasn't a clear, direct route for me. So I thought, okay, well, I'll go down this musculoskeletal route and we'll go there. In my experience, I found that it wasn't just about foot and ankle. You had to know about, and I think every good podiatrist and at undergraduate level, it's taught that we learn the whole lower limb up to the hip and lower back. I mean, in my triage role, we'd routinely see foot pain that was not an orthopedic problem. It was maybe neuropathic in nature, or maybe dermatomal pain, referred from the lumbar spine or something. So, I believe that, our remit, or we should at least be able to assess not only the foot, the ankle, the whole lower limb, including the lumbar spine. I think that, the locomotor system, which includes your spine, your brain, everything. So where do you stop? It's all connected, as the definition of podiatry is foot and associated structures. It's broad, isn't it? Where does that end? And because of my background in sports, and I'm looking forward to talking about that piece of paper. As you know, with my background, it never just sat comfortably with me that we just looked at the foot in solitude. And luckily at Northampton, they did kind of encourage us in our undergraduate to look at a bit broader with things. And I think that's still relevant now. And I think that's maybe something as a profession we should be, I mean, the borders are emerging, and blurring. What's the traditional operating area of?
Yes, totally.
Thanks, Nav. Where does a physiotherapist cut off? Where does a sports therapist cut off? Where does an osteopath cut off? Where does a chiropractor cut off? Where does a podiatrist cut off? The borders between these professions that were previously very compartmentalized, I think are becoming more blurred. And so, what is what is not. And as it comes down to education and the ability of the individual, and also the confidence of the individual. That piece of paper you're holding up there was pretty
Yeah.
much, if I can mention it now, is
Yeah.
is
You want to
something that,
mention it now?
yeah, why not? So a few,
Okay.
have you
I
got a
actually,
date on it?
yes,
What's the date on there?
I actually put that in my safe, by the way. I
Yeah.
have a safe. I put that. It is
Yeah.
2007.
Okay. 2007. So I also consider you, and don't forget this program is about advanced practice. So this is the reason for this background we're giving to you.
How much emphasis would you put on a pelvic biomechanics, and not just limited to that?
A fair bit. What I say to my patients is we're going to measure you from the ground up, and then we're going to measure you from the top down. So the ground up bit, I use these pressure plates and all these types of gadgets, and then for the pelvis down, we use a pelvic equilibrium gadget from a good friend of mine. Also, I have something called the G-Walk software.
Yes, you
Yeah,
told me that. Yeah.
which you've seen is a belt system with some gyro type of gadget in there, and that gives you very nice data about what your pelvis
Okay.
and legs
So
are doing in space and
do
time.
you want me to read that letter from
If you,
HCPC?
yeah, I mean, yeah. Would you want to read it all out? It's quite long, or should I just give you the crux of it? So
The crux of
essentially,
it,
I think you and I at a point got a bit fed up with what our scope of practice was, and
yes,
the vague definition. It was all very grey.
and the misnomer from certain element within our profession, right? They are feeding us lies sometimes, right?
Yeah, so
So
there's a lot of hoo-ha out there, but
yes,
essentially we wrote to the HCPC at the time to try and get a definition, and that if you want to take over there, Somers, and
yeah, okay, the definition,
read out the
right?
relevant parts.
Yeah, relevant part, right? You must act within the limit of your knowledge, skills, and experience. If necessary, refer matter to others' professionals. You must keep within your scope of practice. This means that you should only practice in the field which you have a appropriate education and experience. We recognize that registrant scope of practice, and indeed the scope of practice of the profession, is not statistic. You understand that? Right? It will change and evolve over a period of time because of specialization in a certain area and because of education, training, ongoing experience. Some professionals on our register will undertake training which allows them to practice in an area which are an extension of their scope of practice, right? i.e., beyond the activities of normally undertaken by their profession. For example, so there you go.
So essentially, that letter is just saying the world is yours as long as you've got training, qualification, and confidence in what you do. And actually, another thing is insurance. If you're doing it outside of hospital environment or something. I'm just seeing a question there. I don't think we can treat the foot as a separate entity. It's a wrong paradigm. What would you say? Yeah, definitely. It's all connected. The whole body, even the brain is part of what the foot does. Yeah. So,
Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, there's my good friend Dr. Ahmed popping up.
That's my mentor for IP, independent prescribing course. Thank you. Great.
And I worked with Jawad for at least 10 years, maybe, in musculoskeletal services based in Milton Keynes.
Great GP, though.
Very, very clever guy, and you couldn't find a nicer guy.
Scope of practice.
So it's got scope of practice. So even today, what's gone on more recently with COVID-19 and whatnot. Let me give the example. So our hospital, and I won't mention the name exactly, but we've had to reduce all our outpatient activities, of course, because of this. We can't see face to face as much. So there's a lot of staff just not having much to do other than telephone triaging and doing phone calls like that. So they've tried to redeploy us. So fortunately for me, and it's been a very exciting time the last few months from the point of view that I've been sent to fracture clinic minor injuries unit. Yeah, so we're working day in, day out. We've got orthopods alongside us, very clever advanced practice nurses, and we're just doing whatever comes through the door. So interestingly, it's been fairly quietish. We're not having big trauma, road traffic accidents or anything. It's mostly been DIY injuries, right? Hands and odd falls and trips and things. And interestingly, there's been a lot of feet in there. I have seen a lot of feet. I think I've seen 40% of the daily caseload, I'm just guessing, but about 40% of what comes through the door is foot and ankle problems. So either they've had an ankle injury or a foot sprain, or yesterday I had a lady who'd had a couple to drink and jumped on a trampoline and ended up
Whoa.
somehow lacerating the whole lower shin. Yeah, big gouging, gaping hole out of which we had to get stitched up and whatnot. So, and as a result, this leads me on to looking at other things as to, ideally long term, I think we should have a separate unit of foot and ankle and minor injuries. There's no reason. Don't forget, in normal times, this sort of stuff is clogging up A&E. There's maybe not very much reason for this stuff to be in A&E. Yeah, it's nothing that we couldn't deal with outside of, I think, professionally. Yeah, so in future we could end up seeing, foot and ankle minor injuries units, or bolted onto what we already do.
Oh, hi, Mr. Riley. Is there?
Oh, Mr. Riley, very nice to see you. How does he remember that I make great curries? Because that's going to be about 15 years ago. They're even better now, Mr. Riley. You'll have to come round one day.
Thank you, Ian Riley. I never thought you will come to the platform. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Yeah.
So yeah, advanced practice, right? And also these days, as you know, a big thing that's going on at the minute is something called first contact practitioner, right? There's a big drive on at the moment with first contact practitioners. The HSE. Okay. You got another
2002.
question? 2002. Oh my gosh, he's got a very good memory, better than me.
Surgeon. He should have the memory.
He should know.
And he did say he has got apna blood. I read something. He said.
I think I read something. He's like a third Bangladeshi or something like that.
Not really. Otherwise, you would fight with me so much.
That was the main reason.
The main reason, probably. Yeah. We clash.
So, advanced practice is a very exciting thing, and it applies to all the disciplines across the board. At the end of the day, they're struggling to get doctors in place. They're looking at people like ourselves and other other professionals within the circles to upskill and start to take on more workload. So we have to be looking and thinking ahead. As you know yourself, NHS England was looking at numbers of us in the profession, and they think that within the next 5 years, about 50% of our profession will be at retirement age. So we're looking at a big skill shortage within our own profession. At the same time, we've got to try and look at upskilling our profession and trying to do more stuff. My experience in orthopedics, I spent a lot of time with some very
there you go.
Experienced.
I am 2.5%. No wonder both of us don't get along quite well. Right? So
5 meters 5. 2.5 cents. I knew there was something I read somewhere. He's one of us.
He's one of us. That's why you fight with me so much. Yeah. Good on you, Mr. Riley. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, Ian Riley, he's an advanced practitioner, isn't he? He's doing something out of the traditional remit of what podiatry probably is. He's been at the forefront, as have others. Martin Harvey, I met him probably 2003. Yeah, and at that time we learned. I learned from him about prolotherapy. Yeah, injection techniques in prolotherapy. Way ahead of his time.
That's where the letter came from. With the HCPs when you wrote them about knee injection. He
was teaching me autologous bloods at that time. Yeah. However, I think that was 2007, 2008. And look at how look at just the last few years. It's just started to creep into NHS. We're doing research on Achilles tendinopathies and things like that. It just started. So he was 10 years ahead of his time. And all the prolotherapy and things. It's all still very popular across the pond. So, but advanced practice is part of us. It's part of what we do. The question is, where do you want to stop? As you know, my own experience, I've got him. I quite like knees, and very controversial in podiatry. Yeah, but it's advanced practice, right? We're just doing what the government has asked for.
I'm gonna wait for somebody to dictate. I decide my own future. I don't wait for the profession to dictate, because the HCPC, my daddy of all, he said you can do it, right?
So we've got this framework that's come out from the Health Education England, which covers a lot of advanced clinical practice, and it just gives you sort of advice and guidelines and some guidance as what to do. As you know, the physiotherapy group is a very, very strong and powerful group, and they just seem to hit the nail on the head. They're very unified in the way they think and approach, and I think you've got the doctors group, obviously very powerful. The nurses second to that. And I think physiotherapists are running up pretty close to that. They seem to be at the forefront of a lot of stuff, and they have a lot of very clever practitioners and very clever clinicians within that. Which, of course, I've been spending a lot of time with these people over the years, and it'd be nice to see our profession develop into that sort of a level where we're singing with one voice. And as you know, for all sorts of reasons, it's
yes,
not quite
it's
practically
not that,
possible at the moment. But
because it won't happen. I don't think so it will happen in my lifetime. I've tried my best. I even opened the door. I even asked them to come into my show.
we need to start the conversation. We need to
Yes,
start talking as one voice, as one group. Yeah, we need to get some consensus on things, because it's about survival.
it is.
We are
COVID-19.
retiring. We are,
COVID-19.
yeah, we're running out. We've not got enough people coming up. With all the what happened a few years ago with them killing the bursary and stuff. I mean, there's going to be a skill shortage there. There already is a skill shortage. We applied for band-aid practitioners at our hospital, and we really struggled to get any applicants, and eventually we luckily got one or two, but they're very few and far between, as you know. So the question is, what do you want out of life for most of us? If you want to keep it simple, it's there. If you want to get very advanced, it's there. There's no cut-off point. There never was, and there never will be. And actually now it's encouraged more so, this advanced clinical practitioners.
So,
The idea is that we're moving out to the front line with this first contact practitioner. We should be sitting in GPs' places. And initially, a lot of the drive behind this is for the physiotherapy profession. But of course, it's finite. And the problem I've seen as well is that as these clinicians are being educated and upskilled to move up into other roles, they're also leaving a backfill, and we've got to infill the backfill with likely experienced practitioners and clinicians. So we've got a lot of challenges ahead, not just our own profession, but the whole health system.
so as now you said about the advanced practice, why you need advanced practice, which is yourself and myself. We are advanced practitioners.
As you know, we're not just podiatrists. We've
No.
done other qualifications,
Yes.
and we have other insurances with other companies and
Yes.
groups to help us to do what we do.
So we want to push the boundary of our profession. Yes, we are here. We are
Absolutely.
listening.
That
Right.
I think has been the main focus of the institute whilst I've been
Yes.
around there. It is about trying to develop and advance the profession, because not only do we have to do that, but we have to encourage the new generation. We've got to get the new guys in, and the retention rates are not fantastic, and I'd have to talk to some university people about what kind of level of interest they've had this year, the last 2 years, but we are dying out. It's a danger, and if we don't make it a little bit more cool and fashionable and a little bit more open, then are we going to miss out?
And we need to get hold into our own territory. As simple as that. We need to have our profession to ourselves. I personally believe. One more question though. So many question is, as a vice chair, you are also was education chair of the IOCP.
Yes.
What made you to push those boundaries? You and me had a long fight in the board. Outside we are okay. In the board we had a real battle.
I think it was a lot about breaking the traditional mold of podiatry, chiropody. I think it was about there was an older school generation there that maybe aren't as forward thinking as what we would like them to maybe be. So yeah, it was very, very difficult. I remember some very, very heated debates in the boardroom, in those times. Everybody loves the profession and wants what they have out of it, but it's about what we're going to do for the future with it. So very, very difficult times, but I think we came to some agreement. I think our point came across, and
yes.
the institute, luckily, whilst we've been around, has gone from strength to strength. We've developed a whole range of advanced clinical courses, and this is the reason why we're talking.
Do you want to tell them that another news on that?
Oh yeah, right, okay. So we've been this is, let me just say, do you agree we need to, sorry, I've lost the question. Do you agree we need to uplift the professional status to foot doctor? Okay, so that's not anything out of the ordinary. The Americans, is DPM. It's been there for a long time.
Australians
and Summers and I have spent many evenings discussing this subject. So it's very close to our hearts. you know, doctor is not a protected title in the UK.
Okay, clap
Yeah.
the hand for the NHS.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a clap. That's for the NHS, and Abid is working for them as well.
great institution.
You are there now. Okay,
Yeah,
doctor title.
no, I'm in the private clinic this evening.
Okay, doctor
Yeah.
title.
Doctor title. Okay, so yeah, there's been a lot of debate. Should we? Shouldn't we? You know, over the years, but
Time has come.
why should we not? Yeah, our cousins across the pond have done it for a long time, and I think we're getting to that level where there's more and more of us. I mean, the guys I've met. I mean, as you know, I teach ultrasound at Bournemouth and have taught various advanced practice courses like a lot of us, and I've met in that time so many very intelligent podiatrists, very clever guys around them. Thank you. That's a reminder we should be clapping.
Yeah.
I forgot about a Thursday night.
I know, yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, thank you much for thinking.
Thank you for the reminder. Yeah. So I think it's something we've talked about and muted. I think it's the problem's been just that we're talking slightly out of the box, but then, you know, dentists call themselves doctors, chiropractors call themselves doctors. You know, it's not a protected title. That's the first most important point. So
yeah.
As a result, and it's taken some time to get here, hasn't it, Somers? But where are we now? We are we've just
college.
The College of. Do you want to?
College of Podiatric Doctors.
College of Podiatric Doctors has been.
Yeah, just been. Yeah, we are now.
We are working on.
We are working. There's a working committee. There's a structure, just like we have College of Podiatric Surgeons. It will be similar. It will be strict condition laid out, criteria laid out, education laid out to become College of Podiatric Doctors members or International College of Podiatric Doctors members, right? So yes, we are taking that leap, just like College of Podiatric Surgeon did, which we have.
So someone's got to do it at some point. Yeah. You know, we got to try, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, I can't see too many negatives about it, other than just the general hoo-ha you get whenever you try to do something new and a bit different. Yeah, but if we you know, there's some good guys at the institute have looked at this up and down and inside out, and it looks feasible and viable. So we're setting it up. We're looking into the process and how it'll work, and of course we'll make it as robust as is humanly possible. So you know, that should hopefully reduce the need for criticism. So there
will be criticism, but hey, if you don't,
and it will be open to all. You know, we're not we are an inclusive group as an institute. We want, you know, it to be rolled out to the whole profession. You know, we are one voice. We have our brothers and sisters from other organisations, but to me, and I'm sure to you, we're one people. Yeah,
we're one people. I wish we were one people.
I think at times like this, at times of crisis, you know, that really can show out the good side of humanity. And I think you know, if we reach out, we can. We have the same.
Mr. Riley, I will agree to disagree. Unfortunately, like you said, you got some blood of Asian somewhere, but your point is taken.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot. You know, we will look and make this as robust as possible. You know, nothing's set in stone. And if Mr. Riley wants to come and join in conversations on this, obviously,
you're welcome. But as I said,
very warmly welcome.
Yes, you can. Debate can be, but I won't be dictated by no professional body.
Yeah.
That's something I won't take.
I agree with that point Riley's just made there. But at the same time, you know, it's choice, isn't it? You know, at the same time, the thing is, having other groups means you've got choice, and maybe one group will be a bit more dynamic than another. Sometimes a smaller group is more dynamic in achieving things because there's a lot less decision makers and things can happen in a more timely manner. Some other groups, as we know, in NHS land, I've been trying to make changes for it takes decades to change anything, you know, just because of the various levels and red tape and whatnot. So pros and cons that we're not. It's pros and cons that we're not one profession. You know, yes, there's the downside, then there's an upside to it as well. So, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. We can't change it. The institute has been around since the 19. Do you know what the
1965 years? I think last time we. Yeah.
So it's probably older than the college, I believe. isn't it?
I don't know. It's
But
probably the same time.
about the same. Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't criticize either or. You know, it's one thing, and you know, maybe in future now's the time to start developing relations and you know bringing us closer together.
Well, the consultant fellow in podiatric medicine, there was a lot of slack. Now the whole world knows that, and we got robust into the. Some people who are very narrow-minded people who are saying you can buy that profession. Well, good luck to you if you want to buy it.
We're our own
buy it.
masters in this profession. Yes. You know, we can, you know, as long as there's you know, and we made that very robust as well.
Yeah.
You know, we compared it to the Royal College qualifications. They do 3 degree then 4 degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's all sorts to talk about, and there's a lot
of
to develop into.
It's in a development. It's in. We have a panel. They are discussing ins and out, but we will decide as it fits for the IOCP. We will listen to everybody, but we will think just like when we did consultant fellow in podiatric medicine, right? As I said, the profession will move on. And people can bark behind, but we'll move.
Yeah, it's 2020 now. You know, let's move on. This is new pastures. You know, let's write the modern history.
Yeah. Right. That's gone. That's politics out of the way. Right?
There's always politics.
Yeah, there's always politics. But hey, they have beaten me so much for so many years. I still get bloody letters nowadays, nasty letters. Grow up.
That's part of being in the public domain, though, isn't it? That's part and parcel. You know, you're always going to get the haters.
Some in the profession say that because you can do it, should you do it?
Why should you not do it? Give me a reason why you should not do it.
Because my philosophy is same was with the podiatric surgery. Why
you got to start something, and it may not be right 100% at the very start, but it's there to be developed, you know. And we're a sensible group of people. We've got, you know, ears and brains, and we can listen and think and, you know, change and alter. And, you know, you can never ever get anything 100%. I don't think first time round, you know, even in this day and age. So, you know, but the thing always is to start. Yes. Once you start, you know, you can change, you can modify, you can develop, you evolve.
Right, you evolve. Simple as that. It's the way forward. You can't just because I want my way, it doesn't work. I'm sorry, you cannot have it your way. You've done 15 years training on that, because you can't expect other people to do 15 years training. Profession has moved on. Scope has moved on. But why should you stop somebody? That's my $64,000 question, Abid. If I want to progress, why should you stop me?
Yeah, well, look at the government itself is, you know, promoting advanced clinical practice. It wants us to develop and upskill and do things. So, you know, who's writing the rule book?
Who's writing the rule book? Exactly. Yes, same. Chiropractor. Neither doctors are doctors, by the way. Doctors are physicians. It is the courtesy title they are doctors. Doctors is a courtesy title. When I go around the world, I have been given, some people by forcefully give me titles: foot surgeon, doctors, consultant. What else? I've been in Pakistan.
I never mute it, but you know, I'm regularly known as Dr. Ali. I'm sure people know Ian Riley is Dr. Riley. You know, it's just a term. It's just something to denote that you're medical in some way or form. You know, and we're definitely not purporting to be anything like a GP or anything like that. They're a very, very specialized skill set that, you know, we're nowhere near that.
Do not stop progression. Stop dumbing down. What do you say that?
Yeah, stop criticizing people and
get on
with it.
Get on with it. Yeah, simple as that.
Yeah, which is what we're trying to do. Okay, we're going to get the people that are going to criticize, and they're always going to be out there, no matter what you do. You know, even if you go out giving them, you know, cash money to everybody, somebody will criticize you for doing it. You know, there's always going to be that. But
it's just
criticism isn't always bad, is it? Criticism is a good thing. It's a good thing. You know, we learn from it. Absolutely. We need it as professionals.
Yes.
We all make mistakes within our practice, within our lives. You know, it's the ones that survive are the ones that learn lessons from it and admit their mistakes and move on from it and try to improve. So, you know, hence, so advanced practice for us in the institute is a very natural thing. I suppose the thing that we as an organization have to look at is how do we support our members in future I mean, as an example, if Nav Wally out there
Yeah.
decided one day, oh, I want to be a brain surgeon. Technically, as long as he's got a qualification in it, he's got a bit of paper to say he can do it, and then has insurance to back it up. He could. do, it's
But
a big
not as a
analogy, but
podiatrist.
just to give you the analogy, yeah. But so but the thing for our profession will be, how do we insure our members to do something slightly out of their scope? Because we thus far have got insurance to cover our members for knees and for ultrasound scanning, and obviously we've done lots of stuff that way, but it's for us to keep supporting and be able to insure our members for whatever else they want to do in future. Our friend Andrew Williams,
Yes.
the stuff he's been doing with cryosurgery and all these other techniques he's been doing for big brain. Put me on the list for one as well.
Not yet. It's on a working committee, because
it'll be a little while in the making, and we want to make it as inclusive as possible.
The IOCP is forward-looking organization. We have got it. We have got it for you. But how long I'm going to survive the missiles, only God knows, right? But Mr. Mia I have the shield. I am there for the.
Let's push the boat out. Let's see what we can do.
Boat will leave. Whether you're going to come with my boat or not, whether you can criticize 1-day course, 2-day course, this and that, but you can shout, you can scream. The boat will leave without you. Simple as that. If you want to come along with us, it's there. It will enhance the profession. It's shame that when some of us, they can't do anything for the profession, but they always backtrack.
Advanced practice is here. It's here for the next 5 years. It's guaranteed that a lot of the GPs will be funded. It will be funded for the next 5 years directly from government. Now's the time. If we want to develop and move on.
He did move to us.
Great news. Great news.
Great news. But I want to.
Yeah, we've got to keep up the momentum, and the problem is sometimes, as you know, it's getting. Not only do we have a skill shortage clinically, but we have a skill shortage in institute managerial things. We need people to step up to the plate and come and help us out. Get involved in some stuff. We need all our members to.
We need education.
Actively get involved in things. Yeah, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to got some great guys in our organisation, so we just need to utilise them.
As a vice chair, while you're on the hot seat of mine,
yes,
you know that I'm going to ask a difficult question sometime.
Well,
I actually follow a lot of group, and there's a lot of, I will say, misnomer or mishatred that institutes got the FHP. Can you explain the reason?
Okay, I'll tell you exactly the reason, because I remember. So we met with the HCPC. I remember that meeting. The HCPC came to sit with us, and this came up. This was a big topic of conversation. And essentially, what I took away from that meeting, and correct me if you saw it a different way, Summers, but essentially they said, look, at the end of the day, this group of people are out there. Yeah, they're a large group of people, and as a HCPC, we have no control whatsoever over it. But it would be nice to see some measure of control over it. So rather than leave them out there,
train without training,
and doing all sorts of things all over the place, we decided that it would be best to keep them within some kind of organization, and that way there was a way to monitor and oversee and make sure everybody's doing the same sort of thing. As a result, the College of FHPs, Foot Health Practitioners, was born, which is a subsidiary of the Institute, but it's completely separate. You cannot be a member of the IOCP if you're a foot health practitioner, but you can be a member of the college. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And so the idea is that, I mean, when we looked at it, how many groups are there out there training FHPs? I mean, you can go and do an online course for a couple of days, and pretty much you're qualified and off you go. And this is another thing that bothered me about the criticism we're getting about the podiatry profession. I've seen, you can go and do an online course in sports therapy massage, for example, having never touched a patient, right, and maybe have to go and attend a little bit of a practical session, but it's not practically taught. It's only taught in theory, and yet you'll get a certificate in sports therapy massage or whatever it is, and you'll technically be able to then get insurance and then go and start treating patients. Yeah, so you know,
Another question.
and they're not, you know, under HCPC or any governing body like that to
That's it.
control money. You know,
Another
they're
question
just out there.
another question I looked on the online, and again, as I said, I do follow, and criticism is good because I can construct the criticism. Another thing about our course, ultrasound diagnostic, they took my understanding. Everybody's on and about on about case accreditation. It's just like, I want to make it clear. Case accreditation is just like IOCP, a professional body itself. It's not a regulatory, it's not a mandatory. Can you please explain that?
Cases. I don't know where Case is these days. You don't hear much from Case at all. You know, at the end of the day, it's about your qualifications, it's about your skill, it's about your training, and it's about your insurance in that particular branch.
Is asking.
Much better to bring FHPs under the same. Thank you, Kat. I'm glad people agree out there.
I'm glad we got a bit of support.
And, you know, they're a necessary part of our society. You know, there's a need out there for this type of work. There's a huge population that requires it, and we simply, as a profession, can't supply the demand, the need for the demand.
But there must be under certain rule regulation, isn't it?
Yeah, and exactly. And you know, you can go and open up as an FHP tomorrow and not really be registered with anybody and just get on with it.
Yes. Well, haven't the other? Yes, they are doing more than us. One of the organization is endorsing publicly, right? And then they brag themselves there for the profession.
We can't ignore them. You know, they're out there and they're doing a good job. The majority of the time, it's just that, you know, it'd be good to have them sit under some regulation where we know that, you know, every year they have to do so much CPD and they have to do so much training to keep up their skills and awareness and all the rest of it. So that was the intention with why we did it as an institute. I think there was a lot of misconceptions about the institute in the past, that we were only an FHP organization, but of course, that's not the case. You know, it's two separate entities completely, and by separating them out a few years ago, we did it.
By law, they can't diagnose. Only 3 professions can diagnose. That's dentistry, podiatry, and medicine.
Yeah,
by law,
they can't diagnose. And this is the thing with there's not enough clarity. But unless we bring them under this type of a banner, how are we going to clarify that for information for everybody? Because there's what 5 or 6 schools of FHPs out there, at least, maybe more. Don't know.
More than that.
More than that.
Yeah,
it's difficult. It's difficult. It's very difficult.
We've taken your point.
And it requires manpower. It's a difficult job to do, and it's about you know, it's how to police this whole group of people. You know, but we've made ways into it. We've not done it perfectly. You know, we're not the only ones out there either. But we've tried as much as we can, and we're still trying to bring some kind of control over it. So we'll keep up the good work. But if anybody wants to volunteer and come and help out, you're very welcome, because it's a ton of work to do, man. It's not only so many hours in the day. We're all very busy people, aren't we? And you know, encourage everybody to come and get stuck in.
Okay.
There's variations. I mean, we can talk about that. That's a whole other subject in itself. We'll have to have the FHP program, I think, one day, and just talk about that only.
Oh, we'll get criticism.
But that's not. Yeah, well, this is good. It's out there. Yeah.
So what now? We're back to now the ultrasound case. We missed that case.
Yeah. So is it relevant? Is it not? I don't know. As long as the qualification is accredited by somebody, and their insurance, most importantly, is there for it as well, then, you know.
Yeah, but we as the IOCP, we got the insurance. Our course is accredited by IOCP. Therefore, it's fulfilled.
And ultrasound isn't something that you'll go and do a day course in it, and you'll be qualified to go off and do whatever the heck. You know, I'll tell you personally, it took me.
That's a good question, Nav. Absolutely. To be honest.
Yes, please, Nav. Yes, please.
Yes. To be honest, up now, we found this platform. How many Asian are the top of the podiatry profession in the UK? How many? Right? So at least the IOCP has opened us, myself, Abid, right? At least we are there. It's a multi-thingy organization, IOCPs. I'm so grateful to them. It's a profession where I would say most of the hierarchies are from BME. Thank you. Right. Right. Case study
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, and it's not an overnight course that you're going to do to become proficient in ultrasound. You know, it's going to take you time. It's going to take you. I think personally, myself, being honest with you, and I don't think I'm a you know, stupid kind of guy, but it took me a good 5 years to get my head around ultrasound.
It's not
Took me
easy, is
that
it?
long. It's not easy. You've got to find the time. You've got to keep scanning. You have got to have a scanner available. You've got to have, you know, preferably some kind of a mentor in place. You know, there's a lot to it. So it's a complicated thing. I mean, you could go and do a day course and do a guided injection thing, and you'd probably be okay with that. But to do real diagnostic work on the foot and ankle, it's time. It's time. It's time. You're
Case
not going. You have to see.
case study. Yeah, we teach case study. Abid does teach case study within his course, don't you?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Case
It's
studies.
all
You know, you
about
should
learning.
keep
Now,
logs of
now,
cases.
it's
Yeah,
about
keep
learning
images.
how you enhance yourself, but never get dictated by somebody. I know
No.
you don't like dictation, Navwala. I've seen that, right? Never get dictated by anybody. I believe passionately about podiatry profession, but I don't like people dictating, right? They could guide me sensibly. You can't do that. Rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. Why can't do that? Who are you?
Yeah, who wrote the rule book?
Absolutely. There you go. That's the passion. That's the spirit I want to bring to the IOCP. Right. Right. What about your? We talked about case. This is the question I'm thinking, and there's a lot of thing on the online forum comes up. Sometimes I just see it. So it's just silliness, narrow-mindedness, nothing else. They should grow up.
You
Within
know
the
me, it's water off a duck's back with me. Not interested whatsoever.
I know you don't care.
You love doubling on your. I
You
couldn't
put
give
me
a.
onto the
I'm too
thing.
busy
So
working. I've got work to do, and then if I'm not working, I've got kids to feed, as you know. So I've no time for any of that shenanigans. You're going to be seeing more of me on the social media, I have to say. But you know, I don't have time to sit there looking at other people's criticism and comments.
Yeah,
If I did that, it'd probably get to me, and you know, I
it
might
did
not
get to me,
bother to
by the
do
way.
the stuff that I do.
It did
Yeah.
get to me at the end, but then I found I have 200,000 followers. How many podiatrists have that?
It's law of averages as well. You'll always get the critics, so whatever they're out there. It's
But
good
critic
or
is
bad.
good. Best to have enemies because then I'll have
We are
eyes.
independent practitioners. That's
Yeah.
a great point. You
We
know,
are
we are
independent
independent
practitioners. You
practitioners.
design your destiny. You
Yep.
choose which course you want to do.
Yep.
Never give a dictating. This school is
Yeah.
fabulous. That school is rubbish.
Our
Whoever says
grandfather
that,
is HCPC, and you saw what you know the written evidence from SOMAs there, and you know they're very supportive. Even I think now at the moment, if you look at the HCPC website, I think there's a few paragraphs there talking about, well, we recognise in these unusual times that people may be asked to do things slightly out of their scope, and we're not going to.
excellent. Remember, Graham, it's not build a bridge. Yes, bridge is
Definitely.
there.
We're all friends in, you know.
I can't just go and ask, can you? They need to come. It's
Healthcare is healthcare, you know, and I've been blown away by the kindness and
everybody was saying podiatric surgeon. Podiatric surgeon is just another colleague, just extended scope of practice, nothing else. You can be one, I can be one, right? But it cannot be hijacked by one group.
Build bridges with everybody. Our GPs, you know,
The GPs,
you know, our orthopedic guys, rheumatology, neurology. You know, there's no kind of healthcare professional that we shouldn't be reaching out to. You know, we should be making contacts.
Nobody's specialist in the profession.
And actually, we've got I think next week on your show, you've got one of my friends who's got a very, very interesting story to tell. I'm looking forward to next week's program.
We have next week, right, a orthopod, is it?
He's a soon-to-be consultant orthopedic surgeon who started life as a podiatrist.
Yeah, it's called.
Who I met way back when, and you know, went back to medical school and did all this training and stuff. And luckily, I've you know, got good links with him. But he's going to tell you a fabulous story. You know, as I say, the world's your oyster. You go for it. Whatever it is you want to do.
Please, those who are listening to me, next week will be pod journey to orthopod. So he was a podiatrist, he became orthopodic. Fantastic history of his lifetime. Another education tool to understand, and you will see where the barriers and all this stuff. And that's
it's worse in medicine from what I've. They have a really, really tough time. Yeah, really tough time working up through the training and a lot of politics there as well. But you know,
I've heard.
You know, but yeah, it's about being inclusive. It's a bit friendly, reaching out, joining each other, join other groups. We should be affiliating with whoever we can, wherever we can, across the world, across the continents, across our own country. So yeah, I think the future's bright. I'm looking forward to
Absolutely.
more
Well,
developments and
as
advancements
I
within
said,
our profession.
I am grateful to the chair for supporting me my cause in Bangladesh. So without your
Yes.
support, I would. And people were saying that why don't, like Graham said, why don't we build bridge? Graham, last year I came live with my daughter. She is studying podiatry medicine as well. Daughter and father went to Bangladesh, did diabetic foot camp to poorest country on earth. I came live and I asked help from the college to sponsor. Not a single acknowledgement from the, at least if they had the clean heart, they would have emailed me and say, yes, we will, or we will back you because you are taking the profession to third world country. Grow up, college. Forget this sort of us and them. It's one. COVID-19 showed us how we need to be united, right? You may not like our path, but somebody have to choose the path, right? And isn't it best to have a different path? Like Abid said, they may choose to join our College of Podiatric Doctors. That's a choice. You have to give them the choice. You can't clog them up that you can't do this or you can't get out of my house. It doesn't work. It does not work. I'm sorry. Some people are saying to me, I reached, but I never got anything back from them. And my daughter is still member of the college, by the way. So don't ever say that to me. I haven't reached. It's you who haven't reached to me. Thank you, Abid. I'm sorry, Abid. I had to say that because people sometimes say I don't reach, and I did reach. They haven't had the audacity to personally email me, contact me. It's almost good cause. Forget the podo politics. I took the profession. 165,000 million people in Bangladesh, and IUCP helped me. Thank you very much, Chair, for your support.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Any vision? I've got 4 minutes. People will wrap up. What's your vision and everything?
Vision is to get. The next 5 years. I'm looking and working within this advanced practice framework, or trying to develop frameworks around podiatry and what we can offer and how we can upskill. I mean, a lot of our colleagues are going off to do these modules at university on advanced clinical practice, advanced clinical care. Yeah, and it's about and they're going to be doing, or expected to do, a lot of things out of their traditional remit. It's supporting them, figuring out how, as a professional organisation, we can help to move this kind of stuff forward. And what and where we're going to end up, who knows?
Sorry, Nav, you are saying, was there a case study? What is case study? Do you know anything? We don't understand. What question are you asking, Nav? Can you please specify what related to? Was there a case study? If you could, while we got few minutes. Sorry.
No problem. So yeah, there's a lot to do. The future is very, very bright. It's very, very open. There's a lot to be done, but at the same time, we've got to work on numbers as well. I think we've got to make sure that somehow, somewhere, we grow the profession, and there's a lot of challenges ahead for us as an organisation, as individuals, and as a profession. But we're plugging away, and there's a lot of things to come yet. So let's get busy.
Thank you. Again, I get passionate. I'm sorry about that. If I have,
you're very passionate, but we need a few more guys like that, and we'll really achieve a lot.
I don't want to offend anybody. It's just the anger I have in me, or built in me. But I am for the profession, regardless. All of you, as I said, the college, the institutes, the SME, the others who's there, the surgeon, the non-surgeon, the foot doctors. You want to call it whatever you want to call, right? Let's COVID-19. People are dying. Forget your little ego. Let's move forward. Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought we are going to discuss a case study, but I was distracted playing pianos. So excuse my small brain. We'll wrap up with that. Thank you, Abid.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone who dialed in and listened to us talking some stuff at this time of night.
Yeah. And thank you for everybody. Again, I do apologize if I'm not harsh. I have no hatred against college or anybody like this. Please don't put the word. It's we know what it is in the end of the day. Any message, good message, Abid?
Peace and love to all podiatrists out there, FHPs. Power to the pod, as Nav
Out to
says.
the pod. That's it.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All
there's
the
lots to
best.
do, and I'm just very grateful to be in this profession. I think it's the best thing
You,
since sliced bread for me, and I'm very happy to help.
I don't
Be
know
in a
what
position to be able to
I
move
don't
things
know
forward.
what would I've been if I wasn't a foot doctor. Simple as that. I am so passionate and proud of my profession.
It's a great
And
profession.
it
The
is a
world's your
great
oyster with
profession.
podiatry. The
And
world's your
we
oyster.
are here. There is obstacle, but those who tackle obstacle, the best one. But remember, the more people who have negativeness, it's themselves are negative because they can't do better than themselves. So they always will be negative. Anyway, take care. But
Pleasure.
again,
Thank you for having
thank
me on
you,
the
thank
show.
you, thank you.
Always good
All
to
the
talk
best.
to you, Mr. Mia.
Again, I apologize if there's anything we have said or caused any people any problem or anything like that. Please, we are a human being. Take care. We are pods. Bye bye.
Bye bye.